The Digimon Adventure reboot that aired through April 2020 to September 2021 remixed and reimagined a lot of ideas and scenarios from the classic 1999 anime series, but it wasn't a shot-for-shot remake. Of course, Tai, Matt, Sora, and all the digital monsters you remember came back, but the showrunners took the characters on an all-new adventure with new villains and new evolutions. We already covered 10 of the biggest changes between Digimon 1999 and Digimon 2020 on this channel in a previous video, but today we're covering 5 more major changes that we didn't discuss in that first video. Just like last time, be warned that there will be spoilers ahead for both shows as we talk about 5 huge differences between Digimon 1999 and 2020. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. We talk Digimon news and retrospectives every week and occasionally talk about other shows from the early 2000s like Shaman King. If that sounds good to you, be sure to subscribe. Now onto the video. Number 5, the Crests. It's no secret that the Crests the 1999 Digidestin wore around their necks became one of the most iconic parts of the original series. You go to any fan convention and you'll be sure to find a table selling 3D printed Crests. In 2020 though, the Crests had a major role to play in the final arc, with each member of the team going on a solo quest to discover theirs, but they weren't physical items the team wore like necklaces. Instead, they unlocked like a new app on their Digivice after they accomplished a task that aligned with their Crest's virtue. Having said that, the 2020 version relied pretty heavily on the audience's understanding of the 1999 rules in the Crests department because they never quite explained what these symbols were or why they were relevant to each kid. Old school fans knew that Tai had the Crest of Courage, that Matt had the Crest of Friendship, etc., but newcomers to the series may have been confused by these little shapes that popped up on the Digivices with little to no context about what they meant. Number 4, Digimon Size. This list is about huge changes, and no change is as big as the size of some of our Digimon partners. Wargreymon and Megazord, for instance, were absolutely massive in the new series, whereas 1999 Wargreymon was at most the size of 2 or 3 adults tops. 2020 Wargreymon was full-on Megazord size. In his episode 30 debut, Taichi was like the size of a pet bird on a human shoulder, and in 1999 Metal Garurumon was basically the size of regular Garurumon, just covered in armor, but here Metal Garurumon was scaled up drastically. Same for Rosemon, a true giant woman, Hercules Kawaterimon, and the others. And number 3, Mimi and Joe. These two characters, the princess and the worrywart, they were obviously staples of the original show, but had a tendency to annoy viewers and represent what brave kids shouldn't be. Looking back now, you can hardly blame two kids lost in a mysterious land for constantly freaking out, but back in 1999, most kids wanted to be Tai, Matt, or Sora, not Joe or Mimi. Whether it was to subvert expectations or to provide the writers a new challenge, we don't know, but the 2020 versions of Joe and Mimi were absolute standouts in the new series, providing some of the series' best laughs, best action sequences, most emotional episodes, be it Mimi's Guardramon and Andromon episode or Joe's episode where he wielded Zudomon's hammer and became leader of the Digidestined. These two characters stole the show on their second try, and all of their character-centric episodes were arguably the best. Number 2, no human world arc. To a lot of viewers, Digimon simply isn't Digimon without the digital world element plus a real world element. Adventure 2020 had real world components with its opening mini arc featuring a runaway missile, a runaway cruise ship later on, some satellite shenanigans in the middle of the series, but there wasn't a dedicated arc where the kids all went back to their families and introduced their Digimon partners to their normal lives. This was a bit of a missed opportunity, as the real world arc in Digimon 1999 is where a lot of the character development occurred, with characters like Izzy coming head to head with his family life. 2020 weirdly hinted at the lives these characters lived, introducing us to Joe's brother very briefly, having Izzy suggest some weirdness at home, but then never following up on that. But when the kids finally returned home to the human world in the 2020 show, the story was over. Number 1, perhaps the biggest change on this list is the missing characters. No Genii, Wizardmon, Myotismon, and no Dark Masters. Plenty of characters returned for the Digimon Adventure 2020 reboot. Of course, we got all of the main protagonists and then iconic villains like Ogremon and Devimon, but it really stopped there, and the show went in a completely different direction post-Devimon that led us to Millenniummon and a new Digimon called Abatamon as the real antagonists of the series. No Genii to guide the team, no Wizardmon or Myotismon to inform Gatomon's backstory, and no Piedmon or the Dark Masters, with the exception of Mugendramon/Machinedramon, who appeared on more than one occasion but not in a Dark Master form. It wouldn't be right to consider this point a critique of the show. It's not necessarily that, because it was a reboot rather than a remake, and perhaps it was for the best that the story diverged and became its own thing, offering fans new scenarios for familiar characters. Still, characters that fans associate with Digimon Adventure, 02, and Try were nowhere to be seen in the 2020 version. So again, whether you loved or hated the changes, there's no denying Digimon Adventure's 2020 reboot had a ton of new things to offer old fans. If you missed the first video, the 10 biggest changes, you can find a link to that in the description and the pinned comment. Leave a comment on this video though to let me know what your personal favorite change was. Subscribe for more Digimon and definitely check out Ghost Game. it's the newest season of Digimon that's got a light horror theme. YouTube just introduced something new called a super thanks. If you really liked this video, you can basically leave a little tip now, and you get a comment that I'll be guaranteed to see. I don't stream and I don't have a Patreon, but if you ever wanted to give the channel a little support, the thing I like about the super thanks is that it's a one-time thing. You're not committing yourself to a monthly subscription or anything like that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.